Good evening. Welcome to the show, the Ignite Your Purpose podcast, episode 166. Max, who are we?
What are we going to talk about today first, Johnny?
Okay, we are going to. Oh, fuck it. Had a weekend off, been away. We're talking past, present, future, what it means to each of us, what are our interpretations of what it actually is. And can we look upon it differently than the ways that we might ordinarily do so? Max, who are we?
There we go. Beautiful people, we are Ignite Your Purpose, the podcast, the vlog, the chin wag. We talk longevity through a healthy lifestyle. It's a mix of mental, physical, and the spiritual knowledge. The mind, body, soul trifecta. And at its base form, beautiful people, every day we simply try to be better than the day before, negative to positive.
Cool, man.
Now, John, I don't even know the last time you saw your bed, John, but you were in Canada, got some crazy, this Bigfoot flight that really goes to this place called the Isle of Man. It took him like 8 days to get home. Then he was there for like 15 minutes and he took another plane to London. So my man's tired. Why don't you tell us a little bit about this weekend, John, and how that relates to the past, present, future, how we're thinking, all that jazz.
Well, had a great weekend. Went to a conference. A billionaire we met a few years ago invited us to his business conference. His main speaker was a guy called Derek Redmond. If you are into athletics, they won the world championships back in the 90s. He told the story, incredible. But at the gig was a man called Peter Sage, who Errol, the main speaker, was a mentor, business mentor for. Now, Peter Sage himself is an entrepreneur. He's been on the London Reel a couple of times. He worked and trained with Tony Robbins. He's been in the wellness, getting better, self-awareness space for about 30 years.
Wow.
And we've had some interactions with him, but we'd never met him until this weekend. And he was there and he told us about the book he had written recently, which went to number one on Amazon in about 4 minutes and was sold out in about 14 minutes.
That's pretty cool.
And I'd forgotten about this. I'd read some of the letters that he'd sent out as a podcast, as a blog over the past sort of year, 18 months. But I'd forgotten about this. So literally sitting on the tarmac at Bristol Airport, I'm quick, downloading the audiobook. And it's a pretty incredible book, actually. We will put the link on the page, whether it's direct or through my kit or whatever it is. But there's a line in his book which stuck out to me today, and I thought I'd read it, Max. And then you can give me your thoughts and perception on it, because I've got something to say on the subject. So it goes a little something like this, and apologies for me dropping the eyes. It says, the past is nothing more than a present time memory of our perception of a previous event. So it's what we're thinking now about a previous event, not what it was. So the past is nothing more than a present time memory of our perception of a previous event, with our imagination filling in most of the blanks and all of the meaning. So there's this, being 10 years in the game, this mean anything to you?
Oh man, that's, you know what, when you
It's
read
quite,
that,
it's quite a statement.
it is. When you read that, and I hope for those listening, rewind that and really take it in, because I needed to hear that, and it takes me back to perception. How true, right? Like, we all understand. Well, if you don't, you're about to hear. We only take in if there's something like, and I'm gonna butcher this, but the numbers are somewhat right. If there's 4 million plus pieces of information up there, John and I and everybody listening, we're taking in about 8 of them. All right. The mind is already a negative bias seeker. So if we are remembering something from the past, which is just a thought, how true, it's so true that we are totally disrupting and distorting what actually was. An example, the minute you said that, I was like, dude, it makes so much sense when, you know, you're fishing with your grandpa and he would tell you, back in 1335, I caught a fish. It was, you know, yay big. And then the next year it's, you know, 8 feet bigger. And then, you know, 15 years later, it was a shark. And then it
Yeah.
was a whale. So we conjure up so much BS, and it probably wasn't even fact to begin with. Does that make sense? Like,
Yep.
that was huge for me here today, John, and I appreciate you for reading
Yeah.
that. Now, what's your take on it, Mister
Yeah.
5 years in the game?
5 years in the game. It is. We just make up so much shit about the past. We have all of these experiences, and we throw on our modern day context and perception upon them. Max spoke about perception, and it was really interesting because I was driving out of London in traffic, not like really quick, and there was a taxi on our Instagrams, a picture of this, and
That's
there was a
right.
taxi cab on the right hand side with a logo and a badge on the side. And from where I was sitting, it looked like a very slim lady from the back with legs, suspenders, really slim waist. And I have a look, I swear to God, that's what it looked like. And my wife looked as well, and she says, yeah, like I said, legs, suspenders, little garter belt, and the rest of it. We drove up to the side of the vehicle, it's a bottle of fucking perfume. 50s perfume. Now, whether they've done it deliberate or not, I don't know. Whether they know about it or not, I don't know. But it's perception and context. But that would have been different for 1,000 different people, because I'm looking at it with my biases of things that I've learned along the way. And again, looking back to my past, I'm looking back on events and I'm making up what I believed happened back then with my beliefs now, my relationships with family now, my relationships with myself now, and going back before my journey began when I was in a really dark place. I look back on my childhood as though it was fucking terrible, and we never did anything. I was always miserable, and I spent most of my time in my room because I did spend a lot of time in my room because I've been naughty, but I just made up this really, really bad childhood, which I then used as a fucking marker and a measure for where I was in. Well, actually, I'm at this state of my life now because my childhood was shit, which I'd completely made up. Because how could, if we only remember like 0.1% of all these 4 million bits of information we get, how can you possibly
Exactly.
remember what it was like? So
Exactly.
I'm making up the time now based on some time back then that I'm making up based on now. And so whether you can actually get your head around that or not, I don't know. But this led on to another thought. And it is, we can look backwards to events in our lives and blame them as if they've just happened to us. It's, as Peter would say, it's the to me, this happens to me, or that happened to me. And it's always me, 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 me. And
Beautiful.
he suggested, well, what if you look back upon these events that you perceive as being bad or negative, but try and get your head around as if you've chosen that outcome, how does that then
Beautiful.
change now? And I have got one example of this, but I'm going to let Max say a bit first. And it's quite deep. Not sure you're
Uh-oh.
going to like it, but it's fucking deep. I
I
may have
love it.
mentioned it before in the show, but
Um, um,
over to Max.
yeah, that was great. I look at it like this, John. You and I both watched The Matrix. If people
I just choked on my tea.
getting into that nerd situation, but we watched The Matrix, and if you can think of your brain like a computer, it's honestly filling in those parts of the memories of our past that we don't even know. We don't even remember what we had for breakfast 3 days ago, more or less what happened 15, 20 years ago. So our mind is just picking bits of information out that we've stored in the subconscious and all these parts of the brain, and it's kind of just filling it in like a computer would.
Yeah.
And we take it for absolute through our thoughts, because those thoughts are attached to emotions, we take it as the absolute truth. Like John said, we're either exaggerating or making it worse or way better than it actually was. When, dude, it's the past. Let's stop conjuring it up. Let's live in this beautiful time. All I have right now is this second with John. An asteroid could come bouncing down in 15 minutes. But right now I'm with John. I'm with all these people listening. It's beautiful. And what happens in the future, we shouldn't fear. Whether it's health, wealth, love, all that, man. Just know something. I'll piggyback off what John just said, that all those things that have happened in the past are the reason we are where we're at today. And if we can look at it like we did choose those, if we go from a little bit more esoteric, if our higher self chose all these things to happen for the person we are to grow into, that's massive. Go ahead, Johnny, go deep on us.
Well, I'm going to say something else first, because I'd almost forgotten that this episode was called Past, Present, Future. And so if we said, like, we made all these decisions in the past, they didn't happen to us, we chose to do this or that or the other, that has enabled us to get to where we are today. And even if we're blaming stuff and blaming the past still, we get the opportunity every single morning to choose a different outcome.
I love it.
Because when you wake up tomorrow, it's now, it's the present, it's today. I'm going to be really positive today. I'm not going to listen to any negative BS. Anybody says negative BS, I'm going to say, I'm not interested. Go away.
Mr. Smith. F you, Mr. Smith.
Mr. Smith. I'm going to turn the fucking radio off and the new, whatever it is. And that enables us to be as good as we are today. And when we've done that, we wake up tomorrow and we get the chance to do it all again. We don't need to look 4,000 years into the future for the rest of my life and think, oh, I've got so long to go. Yesterday's done. We can't change it. Tomorrow's not happened yet. All I can do is to focus on today. But apart from that, I was going to say this. If we would say we'd chosen all of our everything that happened to us in the past, I don't know, who knows. I lost my father. My father was murdered when I was 2 years old, and I've been through the ups and the downs and the whys and the wherefores. But as much as I would have loved my dad to be around and to have grown up with him and had all that bonding and playing my motorbikes and all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
I believe my life is better because he wasn't there. Different. I don't know if better is the right word, but I think the future that I had, or the life that I've had, having left where we were living in the UK to the Isle of Man and to be brought up in this different environment, I believe my life on the balance is probably would have been better. Knowing what I know now, knowing what I know about the northwest of England and the lack of employment and all of that kind of thing, I think my life has been better. How about that? Put that in his pipe.
You got me there, brother. I would have to agree. John and I have again similar backgrounds in so many ways. I definitely know if I had grown up where I was meant to be, I know I'd be one of two places, either dead or in jail.
Yeah.
And if we can look at it like you said, like however you want to look at it, I come from the Soda Zen part, which is my higher self or my soul has chosen this path. Although I might not agree with it, with the knowledge I have today or yesterday or tomorrow, it's beyond me. Does that make sense? So you have to at some point just trust, or like John said, we can continue to live in the cellar dweller mentality and just poor old me and life sucks and blah, blah, blah. And then, you're missing out on so much good.
Yeah. I heard a description. I want to say the Aquarius children. I'm not sure that's right, but it's the kind of the 70s era and onwards. And the general, thing about Aquarius children or whatever they're called is you're either one thing or the other, because we're in this middle area and we're either going to be brilliant or we're going to be in jail, or we're either going to be incredible or we're going to be dead. And I was thinking about that and about how I've been up here and then down here, then up here and down here, sort of in this kind of weird middle ground of not knowing, but I'm not sure how that ties into any of this conversation. Just popped into my head, so I thought I'd say it. Anyway,
well, that's what it's about.
That is episode 166 of the Ignite Your Purpose podcast, where we do our thing, negative to positive, each and every day. The takeaways are, when you wake up tomorrow morning, it can all be different if you choose to, in your own time. We can all go through life reading the books and listening to the podcasts and seeking out all of this knowledge, but it requires some application tomorrow.
Yes. This
That's all
is
I've
true.
got. Thanks for listening. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you next time. Max, say goodbye.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate you. See you tomorrow. Subscribe, like, share. We love you.
Bye.